Hello and welcome back to my channel, Complicated Relationships Reddit Stories. Hope you guys are safe and healthy. Now let's see what the story is about today. I have been together with my wife since 2005 and never thought it would come to this, especially on a day like Valentine's Day. It's time we listen to the story. Also, if you like what I do, please give this video a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel.
We moved in together after a year or so and began our lives together. Over the course of our relationship, I purchased our first home, had 2 beautiful children, got married, moved to a proper family home, and were seemingly happy. Looking back in reflection, there were red flags, pretty significant one. Over the course of the relationship, I would often, every 6 months or so, make a discovery that she had been texting other men via social media and chat apps. The earliest I've recorded being in 2010, before we were married. I trusted her, so believed the excuse that she needed to feel validated. Her insecurities drove her to it, but it was nothing more than that. It wouldn't happen anymore. I'm all she needed, all she wanted.
D-Day for OP was Valentine's Day 2018.
A few months prior, I found some pretty graphic messages that heavily implied she was having a relationship outside of our marriage. I confronted her, and she told me she had been seeing someone strictly as a friend, nothing more. Oddly, I recognized the name as someone she had been texting back in the day. I asked her for the truth, but was always told that she would never do that to me. Back to February, and I could just not be with her anymore, always wondering, always in the dark, not knowing what really happened. I was tired of playing detective, so I asked for a divorce. She said she didn't want that, but she could understand why, and agreed. She went away for a week with the children. I stayed home. Despite being separated, she still did not admit anything more than friendship. Again, I asked her to be honest, but after all, what difference would it make now? We are moving on with our lives. Again, it was met with innocence.
D-Day came 2 days after she left for the week.
I recalled her having a very close friend, a friend that used to go out drinking with her, a friend that disappeared off the face of the earth a few years back. I called her. What transpired was the most surreal telephone call I have ever had. The friend told me everything she knew. She had been having physical relations with Guy A in 2008 or 2009, a one night only. Shortly after, Guy B and another completely new guy for several months, Guy C, just months after our wedding day. I was devastated, angry, relieved to know the truth finally. Such a mix of emotions to go through in the space of a 30-minute conversation. I got in my car and drove to her. We argued, then had a discussion. She admitted to what I knew. She didn't know why she was doing it, and she didn't want to split from me. She loved me. She also admitted that she was in fact having a relationship again with the same guy, Guy A, from 10 or so years ago. After days of arguing, talking, crying, we decided to try and reconcile. We came home, went to individual counseling. This continued throughout the year.
OP said he needed to know everything so he would be able to draw a line under it and move on.
She promised I knew everything. At times throughout that year of reconciliation, I noticed some odd things. Little red flags that could be innocent, but I decided to listen to my gut this time around. I called a guy, Guy D, that I know she had visited once a couple of years ago, but was adamant nothing ever happened. He picked up. I asked what happened that night, and he told me everything. They were dating for months. She had told him we were separated and divorcing, and I didn't live at home. He met my children and spent the night many times.
It was a total shock for the system, so this guy D left after a few months as he didn't believe she was single.
He noticed my pictures in the house, my laundry in the laundry bin, my brand new car I bought for her even though she didn't work. He put 2 and 2 together and got out of there. He was sorry. He didn't know to contact me as I don't do social media. I confronted her. Didn't say that I had spoken to Guy D, but asked her again if anything happened there. She denied. I told her I had spoken to him, and she validated what he had told me, with the addition that she never used protection with him and with others as well. She begged me to stay, begged me not to throw everything away. I made my decision. I needed to get through Christmas for the kids, then I'm calling it.
OP's reconciliation ended 11 months after D-Day.
I would have hoped we could divorce amicably, but it seems I am to blame for not trying hard enough. All I care about now is being the best father I can be to my children and making sure they have a good role model to look up to. The weight off my shoulders is immense. I feel free, despite the fact we have only just started working through the divorce. Though I have had the wool pulled over my eyes for the last 13 years, I feel like I've got to this stage a stronger person and really looking forward to what the future brings. It couldn't be any worse, could it? Well, I'm yet to DNA test the kids, so yes, it could be worse, I'm sure, but whatever the outcome, I'm still their dad and always will be.
Now, here is the first update.
My children were born in 2011. I've asked if the children are mine. Of course they are. Why would I ever do that to you? Why wouldn't I just get a termination and keep it from you if they weren't? Fair points, but I can't help but remember how she took the pregnancy at the time. I was told she was pregnant over the phone while at work. I rushed home excitedly. We'd been trying for a while. We were excited. When the first scan rolled around, we anxiously waited for the nurse to see us in. When the nurse told us there were 2 heartbeats, identical twins at that, I was ecstatic. I turned to my soon-to-be ex-wife, who was bawling her eyes out, inconsolable almost. I wondered why. "How will I cope?" she said. I understood at the time.
Now, the pregnancy was pretty normal, no major issues.
The babies were born and she rejected them immediately. Didn't attempt to breastfeed them, didn't want to be alone with them. Spent 5 days in the hospital, barely getting to know them. Depression, I thought. It's a lot to go through. It was an emergency C-section too. I got to meet them first while she recovered from the general anesthesia. I thought I understood her reaction. Much later, possibly 5 years even, she went on to tell me she never loved them. Not till much later in their tiny little lives. Why? I can genuinely say with all my heart, but love at first sight is real. It's what I felt when the nurse took me into the ward and introduced me to my girls, swaddled together in the same cot, so tiny, 4 pounds for each of them. 1 year after the girls were born, I was out. She and the girls were home. The girls were in bed in their cot when I found her on the sofa with a bottle of wine and 2 packs of tablets. My mom and best friend were with me. The explanation I got for this during our reconciliation was she was depressed over the betraying and thought I deserved better. Why then did she recover and go on to form at least 3 more relationships?
It's only now, 1 year past D-Day, that OP looks back and realizes this could be absolutely normal, but it could also be wrong.
There's doubt in my mind. Doubt caused by her past actions and deceit, making me doubt the paternity to my own children. How could anyone ever do that to another person? The DNA results arrive Wednesday. They're mine. Thank you to everyone who has commented with support and advice. To say it has been an awful wait is an understatement, but I can rest easy now. For the immediate, I'm away with work and have a rugby match to attend at the weekend, so we'll be making the most of a few days away. Then, back to my girls and full steam ahead with the divorce.
Now, here is the final update.
My divorce was final on February 14th, 2020, Valentine's Day, exactly 2 years after D-Day. When I separated and instructed my solicitor in January 2019, I did everything I could to get back some of the self-worth that had been lost over the past few years. Got into internet dating. This one caused me my first challenge. ID was a first for me. I'd been in my relationship for over 13 years, so I missed the whole ID boom. With my fresh wardrobe and newly acquired dad bod, I prefer the term father figure, I put myself out there. I met a few people, had a whole lot of fun, which helped my self-esteem. I spent lots of quality time with my kids. This was a no-brainer. I knew a hard discussion was coming up with them, so threw myself into dadding like never before. This was and still is when I'm at my happiest. Another challenge coming up, and we did everything from trips away camping and caravanning to trips out locally for fun. We were out of the house first thing in the morning and back last thing at night. They love this, and I used the opportunity to better myself as a dad.
OP met his now significant other, funnily enough, through Tinder.
By this point in time, I was in a good position mentally to move into a relationship, and although at the time my divorce wasn't final and X and I were still cohabitating, we both went into the relationship with total transparency and honesty, and she was fortunately very patient and understanding, something I'd long forgotten existed. My solicitor emailed me my divorce completion on Valentine's Day while I was on a break with my girlfriend in Paris. We had a drink to celebrate. I hope the irony isn't lost on the ex-wife. It isn't lost on me.
End of the story. Well, OP, it sounds like you went through a nightmare with her. Good for you for walking away. Some people are just broken. I know there are a lot of people that don't believe once a cheater, always a cheater, but sadly, there isn't enough evidence to prove that when you read stories like yours. Good for you for focusing on your children. They will definitely need you. Good for you for getting out. Never stay with a cheater, especially when you have children. They need at least one stable parent, and they won't have it if you had stayed with her. Watching over your shoulder for the rest of your life isn't worth it. All the best with your newfound love. Before we go, let's listen to just one comment by the beautiful community.
Unfortunately, there are so many of us in similar situations. I'd like to start by saying that it has nothing to do with you. We cannot control the behaviors or actions of people that make these decisions and take paths that destroy our lives, families, and futures. They are selfish individuals that, even if they feel like they love you and want to protect you, only care about fulfilling other fantasies. We can own our parts in the marriage not going well, but it is never on us that would fight until the end for our marriages, as we don't have a partner that understands that level of dedication and commitment. Will your kids be okay? Honestly, in everything that has happened, at the appropriate age, therapy and the willingness for healthy co-parenting will help.
Thank you all for listening. Please like, comment and share the video if you enjoyed it. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you will be notified when we upload the next video. Take care.